The room went silent right after my sister lifted my champagne glass and smiled like she'd already won. "I'm taking over the family business," she announced. Before I could even process it, my dad clapped and added casually, "And you can help her out, for free." That's when my phone buzzed in my pocket, and I realized I was done being the family doormat. I didn't argue, I didn't shout, I just smiled and called a lawyer the next morning. But to understand how I ended up at that dinner table, swallowing betrayal with warm champagne, you need to know how my family worked long before that night. Let me take you back. Growing up, there were two roles in our family. There was my sister, Anna, the golden child, and then there was me, the helper, the reliable one, the one who didn't need praise because I was strong. If you've ever been the responsible sibling, you already know where this is going. My dad founded our family business when I was 12. It was a logistics and distribution company. Unsexy, gritty, early mornings, late nights, warehouses that smelled like dust and diesel, phone calls at midnight, missed birthdays. He used to bring me along on weekends. "Hold this clipboard," he'd say. "Watch how this works. Learn something useful." Anna? She never came. She was too busy. Dance recitals, brunch with friends, later study abroad. Dad never pushed her. He just smiled and said, "She has a creative spirit." Meanwhile, I learned inventory systems before I learned how to drive. And here's the thing, I didn't hate it. I liked understanding how things worked. I liked fixing problems. I liked being needed. What I didn't like was being invisible. Every time I did well, it was expected. Every time Anna showed up, it was celebrated. When I graduated college with a business degree, Dad barely looked up from his laptop. "Good," he said. "You can start full-time Monday." Anna graduated 2 years later with a general arts degree. We threw a party. Let me ask you something. If you were in my shoes, would you have noticed the pattern by then? Or would you have done what I did and kept telling yourself it would balance out eventually? Because I truly believed that if I just worked hard enough, I'd earn my place. At 24, I was basically running operations, scheduling, vendor negotiations, compliance paperwork. I didn't have the title, but I had the workload. Anna drifted in and out. Sometimes she consulted, sometimes she had ideas. She'd sweep into meetings late, wearing sunglasses indoors, and say things like, "What if we pivoted the brand?" Dad would lean forward like she'd discovered fire. Once, after she left, I said carefully, "We can't afford a rebrand right now. Cash flow." Dad cut me off. "You worry too much," he said. "Anna thinks big." That stung, but I swallowed it, like always. Years passed like that. I moved into a small apartment close to the warehouse. I missed weddings, I missed vacations. My friends stopped inviting me places because the answer was always, "I can't. Work." Anna moved back home. That's when things shifted. Suddenly, she was around all the time, sitting in Dad's office, laughing, whispering, doors closing when I walked by. That's when I realized something was seriously wrong. One afternoon, I found my access to the financial software restricted. I thought it was a mistake. I went to Dad. "Hey, I can't see the expense reports." He didn't look surprised. "Oh, yeah, Anna's handling finances now." I blinked. "What?" "She needs experience," he said. "You already know this stuff." That sentence stayed with me. You already know this stuff. So knowledge wasn't currency. Loyalty wasn't currency. Sacrifice wasn't currency. Favor was. From that point on, I started paying attention. And what I noticed made my stomach nod. Invoices delayed. Vendors calling me quietly, asking if everything was okay. "Your sister told us to reroute payments," one supplier said. "Is that normal?" I started saving emails, screenshots. Nothing dramatic, just patterns. Anna began acting like she already owned the place. She'd correct me in front of employees. "No, we're doing it my way now." She moved into Dad's office. I got moved to a windowless rail near the loading dock. And then came the dinner. Dad insisted on a family celebration. Just the three of us. White tablecloth, candles, expensive wine. I should have known. Halfway through dessert, Anna stood up, glass raised. "I have an announcement." My chest tightened. "I'm officially taking over the family business," she said. "Dad's going to step back." Dad beamed. "She's ready," he said. "And you," he turned to me, "you can help her out, for free, for now." The words "for free" echoed in my head like a gunshot. I laughed because it felt unreal. "You mean temporarily?" I asked. Dad frowned. "Family helps family." Anna smiled at me. Not kindly, not warmly. "I'll need someone to handle operations while I focus on growth. You're good at following systems." Following systems. That's when my phone buzzed. A vendor text. "Hey, Anna asked us to change the ownership contact on the contract. Is that okay?" I looked up at my sister, mid-toast. And that was the exact moment I knew. This wasn't just favoritism. This was a setup. If you were me, would you have exploded right there? Or would you have done what I did? Smiled, clinked glasses, and quietly planned your exit. That night, I didn't sleep. I replayed every conversation, every missing permission, every rerouted email. And then I remembered something Dad had said years ago, almost as a joke. You're the only one who understands how this thing actually runs. At 8:03 a.m., I called a lawyer. Her name was Karen. Calm voice, sharp questions. I told her everything. She asked one thing that changed the entire trajectory. Are you an employee or a partner? I hesitated. I don't know. Then we find out, she said. Here's what Anna didn't know. Years earlier, when Dad was drowning in paperwork, he'd asked me to handle incorporation stuff. I'd filed documents, updated registrations, managed compliance, including shareholder agreements. At the time, he'd said, put us both down. You're basically co-running it anyway. No one ever revisited it. Karen pulled the records, and there it was, 50% ownership. My hands were shaking when she slid the paper across the desk. You're not an employee, she said. You're a co-owner, and she can't do any of this without your consent. I laughed. Then I cried. Then I got very, very calm. But here's the twist. I didn't confront them yet. I waited. For weeks, I played along. I helped Anna, for free. I documented everything, every unauthorized change, every contract she signed alone, every time she misrepresented ownership. Dad avoided my eyes. Anna got bolder. She started telling people she was sole owner. That's when Karen said, it's time. We sent a formal notice, cease and desist, notice of breach of fiduciary duty, request for full financial disclosure. Dad called me within minutes. What did you do? He shouted. I stayed calm. I protected myself. You're tearing this family apart, he said. I swallowed hard. No, I said. You did. I just stopped letting it happen. Anna texted me pages of rage. How could you betray us? This is Dad's legacy. You're jealous. But here's the thing. Truth doesn't care about feelings. The meeting happened 2 weeks later. Conference room, lawyers, silence so thick it hummed. Anna sat rigid. Dad looked smaller than I'd ever seen him. Karen spoke calmly, presented evidence, timelines, documents. Anna tried to interrupt. This is ridiculous. Her lawyer put a hand on her arm. Dad stared at the ownership papers like they were written in another language. I didn't realize, he whispered, and that hurt more than anything, because it meant he never bothered to know. The outcome? Anna was removed from operational control. Dad stepped back completely, and I was offered a buyout, or full control. I chose control, not because I wanted power, but because I refused to lose something I'd already given my life to. Anna didn't speak to me for months. Dad tried to apologize, awkwardly, over coffee. I didn't think you minded, he said. I looked at him and said, that was the problem. Today, the business is stable, smaller, healthier. I hired a real management team. I take vacations, I sleep. And for the first time in my life, I'm not waiting to be chosen. So tell me, if your family treated you like free labor instead of an equal, would you forgive them? Or would you do what I did and finally choose yourself?